Good morning and welcome back to our news roundup. I'm Salia Stremska. And we begin with a tragic story from Germany. At least 2 people, including a young child, were killed in a tragic incident at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, eastern Germany. Some 70 others were injured after a man drove through a crowd at the holiday event.
The suspect, a 50-year-old doctor from Saudi Arabia, has since been arrested by Magdeburg police. The man had been spreading anti-Islam rhetoric online and fears about what he perceived as the Islamization of Germany.
The perpetrator is a 50-year-old man from Saudi Arabia who first entered Germany in 2006. He had a settlement permit and therefore a permanent residence permit. He last worked as a doctor in Bernburg. According to the information available so far, he acted alone. The news from Magdeburg is deeply shocking. Emergency services are doing everything they can to care for the injured and save lives. Our thoughts are with the victims and their families. Authorities will investigate the circumstances.
Condolences and well wishes for the victims of last night's attack have been pouring in from around the world. Billionaire Elon Musk, a supporter of anti-immigration parties in Europe, has called on Chancellor Scholz to immediately resign in wake of the attack. After losing a confidence vote earlier this week, Germany is preparing for early parliamentary elections come February.
Poland and Hungary are entangled in an unprecedented diplomatic spat. The Polish government has expressed outrage over Budapest harboring the fugitive former Deputy Minister of Justice. Marcin Romanowski is wanted by the state prosecution over alleged mishandling of millions of euros of public funds and has taken refuge in Hungary. Poland summoned the Hungarian ambassador for an explanation over why Hungary is refusing to honor the European arrest warrant issued for the former Polish official.
To say that the Polish government hasn't taken lightly to the statements and actions of the Hungarian authorities would be a serious understatement.
I'd never have guessed that those fleeing from justice, corrupt officials, would be able to choose between Lukashenko and Orban when seeking refuge from the justice system.
The allegedly corrupt official in question, Marcin Romanowski, vanished into thin air after the state prosecutor issued a warrant for his arrest in the beginning of December. The former Deputy Minister of Justice has now turned up in Hungary, where he says he's taken political asylum. The Hungarian Prime Minister initially evaded a straight answer on the issue.
It's a legal process which is going on.
But his chief of staff later confirmed the granting of asylum in an interview for the Mandine magazine. He also took some jobs at the Polish authorities.
The actions of the Tusk government have created a situation where the Polish government disregards its constitutional court's rulings and uses criminal law as a tool against political opponents.
These accusations were like adding fuel to the fire. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski took to social media immediately after to express his government's outrage.
We consider the decision of Viktor Orban's government to grant political asylum to Marcin Romanowski, a suspect in criminal offenses and wanted under a European arrest warrant, as an act hostile to Poland and the principles of the European Union.
The Hungarian ambassador to Poland was summoned for an explanation on Friday. At the same time, Warsaw recalled its own ambassador to Budapest for quote-unquote consultations for an unspecified period of time. The Polish Foreign Ministry is now also ready to take further steps in the European Union.
Should Hungary fail to meet its European commitments, Poland will also request the European Commission to bring an action regarding Hungary pursuant to Article 259 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union.
Officials from the European Commission say member states have an obligation to enforce the European arrest warrant. A court in Hungary now has 60 days to decide whether there are any grounds for refusal, and then there is the asylum procedure.
All member states are considered safe countries for matters of asylum. A member state could therefore declare an application for asylum by nationals from another member state admissible only in very exceptional circumstances.
We asked a legal expert whether the asylum would sufficiently counter the European arrest warrant.
Political asylum is actually an internal domestic instrument, not an international domestic instrument. So refugee status is more of international legal protection, which means that, again, Hungary as a European Union member state should, first of all, fulfill its membership requirements.
Marcin Romanowski hails from the Conservative Law and Justice Party. The group's leader, Jarosław Kaczyński, says he understands the former Deputy Minister of Justice fleeing to another country because he doesn't believe he would get a fair trial.
We are governed by people who simply do not recognize or understand these principles, I believe. In a large part, these are people from the lower social class.
As the Deputy Justice Minister, he allegedly embezzled more than 51 million euros from the Justice Fund, a pool of money for victims of crimes. Rather than being used for its intended purpose, the money was reportedly spent on vote buying ahead of the parliamentary elections last fall. This diplomatic spat between Poland and Hungary seems to be far from over, and all of that is happening less than 2 weeks before Poland takes over the presidency and the Council of the European Union from, you've guessed it, Hungary. From Warsaw, TVP World, Kazimierz Łysiak.
The Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland has published a report outlining irregularities and illegal activities carried out by the previous Law and Justice government. Now, the Prosecutor General has submitted motions to the lower house of Parliament to revoke the immunity of several high-ranking politicians associated with Law and Justice. Law and Justice MP Krzysztof Szczucki, former head of the Government Legislation Center Jan Krzysztof Ardanowski, and MEP, former CEO of Orlen Daniel Obajtek, are the targets of an appeal filed by the Prosecutor General. The motion concerns failure to perform duties and exceeding powers for personal gain. The Chancellery of the Prime Minister has also requested the return of illegally granted subsidies amounting to almost 15 million euros. Ongoing investigations show that the previous government used public funds to finance private interests. In an exclusive interview with TVP World, the former president of Finland, Sauli Niinisto, questioned whether security is the foundation of everything. His words come just weeks after the publication of an extensive report on the need for the European Union to prepare for crises that may come in the future.
They say that we will defend every inch of NATO's territory. When we learn to say in European Union that we will grant security for every centimeter of European Union territory, that's the mindset. And hope we hold our hands together.
But this picture is your hope, or is it a part of the reality that's actually coming true? That is my question, President.
It's my hope that it will be reality. What I see is in hybrid attacks is that someday some country might be put in a position where they have to think whether they restrict individual rights of their own citizens to protect themselves. This is what we actually faced in our border. There was so-called legal demand for people coming. They have a right to asylum.
Yes,
but
immigration.
Yes, but the Finnish government saw that that would create a common threat for security.
And now let's turn to Ukraine. In the city of Zaporizhzhia, 4 people, including a 12-year-old boy, were injured by a Russian attack. The regional governor said a Russian strike hit a high-rise apartment block in the city. The city of Kherson and the capital Kyiv were also attacked. In the northeast, a child was also injured by a Russian air assault. Meanwhile, the acting governor in Russia's Kursk region posted on Telegram that 6 people, including a child, were killed in a Ukrainian missile attack on Friday. And now moving on to the Middle East, a Houthi missile triggered air raid sirens across central Israel in the middle of the night, sending civilians rushing to shelters. This marks the second such attack in as many days, heightening tensions in the region. Let's cross live to our correspondent Diana Skaya, who is in Tel Aviv for the latest updates. Good morning, Diana. So could you please walk us through what happened last night?
Good morning, Sally. Exactly like you said it here, and Israelis are really beginning to ask themselves questions as to how can a missile, a surface-to-surface missile that the IDF has said launched from Yemen twice in 1 week have not been intercepted yet. I mean, this is really something that's beginning to worry Israelis here now. It was 3:45 in the morning. I woke up. The sound of the sirens woke me up. I saw my phone. It was a red alert coming in. You imagine we had to wake everybody up. Everybody had to rush to a shelter. Now, the way that actually that works is that the closer you hear the sound to you means that it's either going to be intercepted closer to you, or simply the debris is going to fall somewhere in an open space or cause anywhere damage nearer to where you're standing. Now, of course, it fell as that ballistic missile shown in video footage fell in an open playground. There was nobody confirmed dead. However, Israeli paramedics did say that 16 people were hurt, some were taken to the hospital, 14 were bruised while rushing to the shelters. Now, of course, this comes after the Israeli Air Force the night before had caused strikes back into Yemen for the day before that, when Yemen had sent yet another drone and missile that was not intercepted in Tel Aviv. It caused severe damage to a school that is now shut down for several weeks until it is repaired. Now, of course, the only thing that we know so far is the Israeli military saying is that the situation is under review, and no details or responses as to why the Iron Dome and it is not intercepting this. And what another interesting thing coming out is that Houthi senior official by the name of Nasruddin Ahmed actually took out the platform X and wrote, "Feast your eyes on more heartwarming scenes at the missile files as the missile flies at super fast speeds and evades all Israeli defenses," really giving something for Israelis to still think about here. Sally?
Thank you, Diana, for this report, and do stay safe. Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini has been cleared of kidnapping charges for blocking a migrant boat from landing for 3 weeks as part of a 2019 drive to curb irregular arrivals. Outside Kyiv, supporters greeted his acquittal with cheers and applause. After a 3-year trial, judges rejected a prosecutor's request to hand a 6-year jail term to Salvini, the leader of the far-right League Party. He is currently Transport Minister in Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government. The case was brought after Salvini tried to prevent a charity from bringing 147 asylum seekers to Italy in the summer of 2019, when he was Interior Minister. Giorgia Meloni said it showed the allegations were, quote, unfounded and surreal. Lithuania's Justice Ministry says it has found no evidence of, quote, unauthorized interference in the DHL cargo plane crash that happened in November. One person on board was killed and 3 other crew members injured when the Boeing 737 came down on its approach to Vilnius airport. In a statement issued on Friday, the Justice Ministry said initial investigations of the jet's data recorder, the voice recorder, and of the crash site found no evidence of interference. Earlier investigators said visual analysis of the crash showed there was no external impact on the plane as it landed, and found the airport guidance systems were working when tested. And with this, we conclude our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. World News Online coming up next.